I'm not your property. 4 words that ended my marriage. The message went through, blue bubble confirming delivery, and for exactly 90 seconds, I felt powerful. Then I heard the deadbolt turn from inside. My key wouldn't work. My suitcases were sitting on the porch. Grant handed me back my wedding ring through a 6-inch crack in the door. "You're not mine," he said, "and I'm not yours either." The lock clicked. I stood there with my phone in one hand and my entire life packed into 2 bags, staring at the Ring doorbell camera like it could explain what just happened. It started 3 months earlier. Not the end. The beginning of the end. Grant and I had the kind of marriage people called solid. 7 years in. Suburban house with the good school district. Joint checking account. His and hers, everything. We went to Ray and Jenna's barbecues. Rotated who cooked dinner. Had sex on Saturdays, like we were checking a box. And I was bored out of my skull. Not with Grant specifically, with everything. The predictability. The way I could set my watch by his leaving the job site text at 5:47 every day. The way our Friday night conversations felt like status meetings. We weren't unhappy, we just weren't anything. I need to be clear about something up front. I didn't cheat, I didn't sleep with anyone else, I didn't even kiss anyone. But emotionally, God. I started performing. It was small at first. Extra effort on my makeup when we went out with friends. Laughing too hard at Ray's jokes. Touching his shoulder when I squeezed past him in the kitchen, just a beat longer than necessary. Grant would notice, give me this flat look I couldn't read, and I'd feel something I hadn't felt in months. Seen. It was stupid, but the attention felt like oxygen after holding my breath underwater. At work, my coworker Jake flirted, and I flirted back. Harmless, I told myself. At Target, the guy restocking shelves held eye contact too long, and I let him. I told myself it was innocent, just making myself feel attractive again. Like I existed as a woman, not just Grant's wife who remembered to buy the good coffee and pretended to care about his bids. Grant didn't say anything at first. He'd just watch me with this expression I couldn't decode. I wanted him to fight for me. Get jealous. Show me he still saw me as someone worth competing for. Looking back, he was already doing math in his head, adding up all the ways I was checking out. I just didn't recognize it as him letting go. Ray's birthday party was packed. String lights, loud music, everyone half drunk by sunset. I wore the blue dress Grant liked, the one that showed my shoulders, and I felt good. Noticed. Alive. Like I was something other than the woman who meal prepped on Sundays and knew all his coworkers' names. Grant stood by the grill, talking shop with Ray, while I worked the crowd. I wasn't trying to cause problems. I was just there. Present. Engaged. Laughing, existing outside the role I'd been playing for 7 years. Then this guy showed up. Friend of Ray's brother. Dark hair, expensive watch. Smile that knew it worked. We talked about nothing. TV shows. The terrible wine from Trader Joe's. Traffic. I hooked my finger in his chain necklace. Just for a second. Leaned in to whisper some joke about Ray's terrible Spotify playlist. I knew exactly what I was doing. That was the point. When I looked up, Grant was staring at me from across the deck. Not angry, just calculating, like he was running numbers and coming up with a final total. He set his beer down and walked over, stopped 2 feet from me. We're done here. His voice wasn't loud, wasn't emotional, just factual. I laughed it off. Relax, Grant. It's Ray's birthday. Exactly, he said. I'm not watching this. He raised his voice just enough to cut the music. Everyone within 15 feet went quiet. The guy I'd been talking to took a step back, hands up, suddenly very interested in the cooler. I'm leaving, Grant said. Not to me. To Ray. Thanks for the invite. Then he walked out. Didn't look back. Didn't argue. Didn't give me the scene I'd been half hoping for. I stood there holding a plastic cup of warm white wine, suddenly very aware that a dozen people were watching me try to act like this was fine. That was dramatic, I said to no one in particular. Jenna touched my arm. Tess, maybe go after him. He's fine, I said, too bright. He just needs to cool off. But I set the cup down before anyone could see my hands shaking. I gave it 15 minutes. Enough time to not look desperate. Then I drove home rehearsing my apology in my head. I got carried away. I'm sorry. It didn't mean anything. When I pulled into the driveway, all the lights were on. Grant was at the sink when I walked in, washing his hands like he'd just finished a project. Okay, I started, setting my clutch down. I pushed. I know I performed. It was stupid. I wanted to feel noticed. I'm sorry. He dried his hands slow. Didn't look at me. Tell me tomorrow, he said. Tonight you're putting out a fire. Tomorrow we'll talk about matches. I nodded fast. Okay. Tomorrow. He slept on his side of the bed. I stared at the ceiling fan and told myself this would blow over. We'd had fights before. We always worked it out. In the morning, he made eggs. I came downstairs in one of his shirts, trying to look soft and apologetic. He slid a plate across the island without making eye contact. Here's how it's going to work for a while. My stomach dropped. For a while. We take a pause on couples' nights. You handle your calendar, I handle mine. If you go out, text by 10, not permission. Information. And we split discretionary spending. Joint covers the house. Your extras aren't my tab. I gripped my coffee mug. That's a lot. Respect is easy until you have to show it. Grant, I apologized. I know. This is me making sure we don't do this again. I tried a different angle. So the camping trip with Jenna and Ray next weekend? Not going. He wasn't yelling. Wasn't punishing me with silence. He was just reorganizing his life around the shape I'd created. And somehow that was worse. You're serious. He put his fork down. I'm not competing for my wife's attention. These are my terms. I wanted to argue. Tell him he was being controlling, unreasonable, dramatic. But I'd been the one hooking my finger in some guy's chain. I'd been the one laughing into his ear while my husband watched. Fine, I said. He went back to his eggs like I'd just agreed to switch grocery stores. I tried. God, I tried. I brought him lunch at his job site. Turkey and avocado, his usual. He thanked me like I was DoorDash. Friday night I cooked salmon, put on quiet music, turned my phone face down. We ate in what I told myself was comfortable silence, but was really just silence. Halfway through, my phone buzzed. Work emergency. I glanced at it. Let it wait, Grant said. It's the new vendor. 2 minutes. 12 minutes later, I came back to cold fish and his empty plate in the sink. Lot of fires lately, he said, not looking up from his phone. Don't start. I already started. If this works, great. If it doesn't, you'll know because I'll leave, not because I'll nag. He wasn't threatening me. He was informing me, like he'd already made a decision and was waiting for me to catch up to the math. 2 weeks in, I went out with Becca and the girls on Tuesday. Texted him at 9:30 like he'd asked. Got back at 10:15. He was in the garage with the door open, helping our neighbor with a carburetor. Classic rock playing low. "Hey," I said. "Hey. Leftovers if you're hungry." Polite. Distant. Correct. I climbed into bed alone and stared at my phone, scrolling Instagram, trying to remember when I'd started needing other people's attention more than I needed his. Saturday morning, 3 weeks in, I was folding laundry when I got a text from Jenna. "You guys doing okay?" Grant asked me if I knew any good divorce lawyers. My hands stopped mid-fold, shirt half inside out in my lap. I stared at the message, read it 3 times, waited for the follow-up that said just kidding or he was asking for a friend. Nothing came. I called her. She picked up on the first ring. "Jenna, what the hell?" "I'm sorry," she said quiet. "I wasn't sure if I should tell you. But you're my friend, and I thought you should know." "When did he ask?" "Yesterday. We were grabbing coffee. He said it casual, like he was asking about a plumber." I told him I didn't know any off the top of my head, but I could ask around. "Tess, what's going on?" I sat down on the bed, surrounded by unfolded laundry. "I don't know." That was a lie. I knew exactly what was going on. I'd been testing him, pushing boundaries, seeing how far I could go before he'd finally react, finally fight for me, finally show me he gave a damn. And he'd been planning his exit. "Do you want me to talk to him?" Jenna asked. "No," I said fast. "No, don't. I'll handle it." I hung up and sat there staring at my phone. Divorce lawyers, not couples counseling. Not therapy, not let's work on this. Divorce lawyers. I opened our shared Google Calendar, scrolled through. His schedule was normal. Job sites, bids, inspection on Thursday. Nothing that looked like lawyer appointments, but Grant was smart. He wouldn't put it on the shared calendar. I checked our joint bank account on my phone. Nothing unusual, same deposits, same bills. But then I noticed something, a Venmo notification from last week I'd missed. Grant had sent himself $200 from the joint account to his personal Venmo, with the note, reimbursement. Reimbursement for what? I opened Venmo. His profile was private, but I could see one transaction visible to friends. Last Tuesday, $200 to someone named M. Chen with a handshake emoji. M. Chen. I Googled M. Chen divorce lawyer in my city name. Third result. Michelle Chen, family law attorney. 5-star reviews. Specializes in high-asset divorce and mediation. I set the phone down like it had burned me. He'd already paid a retainer. I don't know how long I sat there. Could have been 5 minutes. Could have been an hour. The laundry stayed unfolded. My coffee went cold on the nightstand. When Grant came home at 6, I was in the kitchen making dinner like nothing had happened. Chicken, rice, steamed broccoli, his favorite easy meal. "Hey," he said, setting his keys in the bowl by the door. "Hey." "Dinner's almost ready." He washed his hands at the sink, grabbed a beer from the fridge, sat at the island and scrolled his phone while I plated food. I wanted to scream, wanted to throw the plate at the wall and demand to know why he was talking to divorce lawyers, why he'd given up, why he wasn't fighting for us. But I didn't, because some part of me already knew the answer. I'd stopped fighting for us months ago. I'd checked out first. He was just being honest about it. We ate in silence. "Good chicken," he said. "Thanks." That was it. That was the whole conversation. After dinner, I tried something. I curled up next to him on the couch during a movie, put my head on his shoulder, reached for his hand. He didn't pull away, didn't lean in either. Just let it happen. Let me happen to him. Like I was weather, something to tolerate. Sunday, he canceled brunch with my yoga crowd. Just sent a group text, taking a break from group Sundays. Catch you in a month. No discussion. No asking my input. You're dismantling our life, I said. I'm rebuilding the part I can stand in, he said. You can be in it, but not like before. What does that mean? It means I'm done pretending. 3 weeks later, Jenna hosted a small dinner, wine and lasagna. The 6 of us around the table, Becca already 2 glasses in. So how's the new regime? Becca said, spearing a tomato. Any infractions? I tried to laugh it off. He keeps an Excel sheet. Dates, times, violations. Grant didn't smile. Keep going. The table went quiet. We're fine, I said fast. Right, Grant? We're on probation. Becca laughed, uncomfortable. God, you're exhausting. Yep, he said. I wanted to crawl under the table. Later, in the kitchen, I cornered him by the sink. You embarrassed me. You wrote it, he said. I just said my line. I stared at him. You really are done. Finally, he said. Tuesday night, he texted me at 9:30, running late on an inspection. Home after 10. I was at the gym, saw the message. Didn't answer. Because some petty, vindictive part of me wanted him to know how it felt. To wonder where I was. To worry, to finally feel a fraction of what I'd been feeling for months. At 10:45, he texted again. Where are you? I typed fast, furious. Done with being the bad guy in my own marriage. I'm not your property. I'll be late. Don't call. I sent it before I could think. Power. That's what I felt. Like I'd finally said the thing I'd been holding back. Like I'd won some argument we'd been having in subtext for weeks. I stayed at the gym another 20 minutes, took a long shower, drove home slow, windows down, music up. My key didn't work. I tried it 3 times, jiggled the handle, nothing. Then I saw them, my 2 suitcases, sitting on the porch like they'd been waiting. I pounded on the door. Grant, my key isn't working. The chain slid. The door opened 6 inches. His face was calm. Not angry, not hurt. Just done. Your suitcases. What is this? I'm finishing the conversation you started. He held out his hand. My wedding ring sat in his palm. And this is insane. We had a fight. No, we had a test. You sent the answer. I read it. We can talk. We won't. He pushed the suitcases toward me with his foot. You said you're not my property. Okay, these are your things. Go to your parents, your friends, whoever, but you don't live here. I tried to step inside. You can't do this. I'm not asking. My eyes filled. I reached for the ring. He let me take it. Where am I supposed to go? It's midnight. Your family, or a friend. You've been practicing this. You just didn't expect me to agree. You'll regret this in the morning. In the morning I'll be filing paperwork. He closed the door. The deadbolt turned. I stood there on the porch I'd swept 1,000 times, holding my wedding ring and 2 suitcases, trying to figure out exactly when I'd stopped being his wife and started being a show he'd decided to stop watching. I called my mom at 12:30 a.m. She didn't ask questions, just unlocked the guest room and made up the bed. In the morning, Grant emailed me from a new address I didn't recognize. Pickup times for the rest of my things. Saturday 10 to 12 or Sunday 2 to 4. Reply here only. I called 16 times. He didn't answer. The divorce papers came in waves. Clean math. The house was his. The truck, obviously. Half the savings. No kids, no pets, no shared business, just a mortgage and 7 years of habits. Habits are harder to divide than assets. I moved into a rented townhouse across the river. My friends tried to rally around me, but I could see it in their faces. They knew. They'd watched me light the match at Ray's party. They'd watched Grant try to salvage it. They'd watched me text myself right out of my own marriage. Becca still tries to make Grant the villain. He was too rigid, she says, too controlling, but I know the truth. I wanted attention more than I wanted my marriage. I wanted to feel desired more than I wanted to be faithful. Not physically. I never cheated, but emotionally? I checked out months before that text. And Grant didn't walk away angry. That's the part that still gets me. He walked away calm, clear, certain. He'd drawn a line. I'd crossed it. He'd given me a second chance with his rules and his boundaries and his courtesy text by 10, and I'd texted him 4 words that told him exactly who I'd decided to be. And he believed me. 6 months later, I saw him at the hardware store. He had a woman with him, teacher maybe, based on the way she was talking about classroom supplies. She was laughing at something he said, and he had his hand on the small of her back, casual and certain. He saw me, nodded once, polite, distant. Then they turned down the paint aisle and disappeared. I stood there holding a bag of potting soil, watching the life I could have had walk away from me for the second time. My chest felt tight, like someone had their hand around my lungs, squeezing. I set the soil down and walked out to my car before anyone could see me crying in the garden section. Here's what I learned. And I'm telling you this because I don't want you to be me. Marriage isn't boring. Choosing the same person every day isn't predictable. It's work. It's showing up. It's texting by 10 not because you have to, but because someone's waiting up who deserves to know you're safe. I wanted the performance, the thrill, the validation from strangers who didn't know me and didn't matter. What I got was 2 suitcases and a locked door. And what Grant got was a woman who laughs at his jokes and doesn't need an audience to prove she's alive. If you're bored in your marriage, fix it. Talk to him. Go to therapy. Join a dance class together. Book a weekend away. Shake things up, but don't do what I did. Don't text "I'm not your property" to a man who never tried to own you in the first place, because he might take you at your word. This is Tessa, and this is my story. If this hit home, you're not alone. More stories of betrayal, lessons, and hard-won wisdom. Broken Vows. New episodes every week. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.